Member statements. I call the member for Hornsby.
Thank you, Mr Temporary Speaker. I'm delighted to congratulate the volunteers of the Galston Rural Fire Brigade on their 75th anniversary. Following the devastating Black Saturday fires that swept through the Hills District in 1939, the local residents of Galston came together with the Hornsby Shire Council to establish the Hornsby Shire Volunteer Bush Fire Brigade. On the 23rd of April 1941, the first captain, president, 6 lieutenants and other office bearers were elected to run the brigade. Whilst other groups had formed in the western part of the state, this was one of the first volunteer brigades to be formed in the Sydney area and coastal districts. The brigade boundaries adopted at the time went from Castle Hill in the south through to Calabash Bay in the north, from Galston Gorge in the east to Forest Glen in the west. It was a massive area by today's standards, let alone 75 years ago. Far from the high-velocity pumps and high-visibility uniforms, the brigade's original gear only consisted of 15 water drums, 30 gallons each, 20 leather beaters, 3 knapsack pumps, 300 feet of hose, 3 hydrants, 25 stirrup pumps, 2 shovels, 3 axes, 8 rakes, 6 water bags and a number of volunteered motor trucks on standby to cart these drums. Despite the humble provisions, there was an immediate demand for the brigade's services. Though their inception might suggest that their operations were localised, the Galston Fire Brigade responded to emergencies from across the region. Although as similar services began to grow, the early 50s saw the brigade become more localised in Galston, where it has continued its critical role for our community. At a public meeting in February 1952, it was proposed that Galston form its own brigade and that Arcadia Birraleigh do the same, as the combined group had become too large. In 1963, the local council agreed to erect a shed to house the brigade's truck and their bare essentials. And to this day, this is where the Galston Rural Fire Station still stands, ready to take on whatever Australia throws at it. The Galston Rural Fire Brigade is the heart and soul of the Galston community. It served the Galston area with distinction. But our community are not the only beneficiaries of the dedicated men and women in the brigade. Indeed, they have made themselves available to help across the country whenever the need has arisen. In 2005, the brigade was deployed to Kings Lake in Victoria. Closer to home, the brigade stood guard over the Balcombe Hills and Blue Mountains during the 2001 Black Christmas fire. In 2013, the brigade provided a 24-hour strike team in the 2013 Blue Mountains fire for 17 consecutive days and assisted in the 2014 fire at Galston High School. In 2016, the Galston Rural Fire Brigade's 2016 is the Galston Rural Fire Brigade's Diamond Jubilee. I take this opportunity to commend some specific members amongst its ranks. I commend Jake Willett, Stephen Stockman, Gregory Langdon, David Creek for their 10 years of service. Anthony Burley, Anthony Henniker as well. Furthermore, I congratulate Bradley Farkins for his 20 years of service. In special commendations for their substantial lengths of services, I commend Anthony Cotton for 30 years and Colin Manton for his 40 years of service. The men and women of the Galston Fire Brigade, Rural Fire Brigade, represent the very best of our community. But if the Galston Rural Fire Brigade are the heart and soul of Galston, then Ken Turnage is the heart and soul of the Galston Brigade. Ken is a life member of the brigade and has dedicated 60 years of his life to protecting, caring for and serving our community. You will struggle to find a better member of the service or a better bloke than Ken, and I was honoured to be there to see him recognised with his Long Service Medal 4th clasp. But you cannot tell Ken's story without acknowledging the contribution of his beautiful wife, Carol. Carol is without doubt one of the most beautiful, wonderful people that you'll ever meet. Nothing's ever too much trouble. She always has time or a kind word. She supported Ken in the service for over 60 years and through marriage for even more. Ken and Carol are remarkable people who have made an enormous contribution to our district. I can safely say we are a better place because of them. Finally, can I thank the organisers of the 75th anniversary celebrations, Joe Stevenson, Robin Mansfield, Cara Dubois and Amanda Truelove. It was truly a remarkable night and one of the best community events that I've attended. Can I also thank the outstanding brigade captain, Rob Simmons, and the equally impressive President, Katrina Dunlop. Congratulations must also go to Brad Farkins and Adam Piana for their inductions as life members to the Galston Rural Fire Brigade, which is appropriate recognition for their outstanding service to our community. Whilst much has changed over 75 years, one thing that has not changed is the Galston Brigade's commitment and dedication to our community. Having met the recent new recruits, as I myself did the RFS basic training course, I know that the next 75 years of the Galston Brigade story are going to be just as bright.
Thank you.